My name is Adam Behringer.
Please state your name.
Matt Nuffort.
And what company do you represent?
I represent BeeWorks.
BeeWorks. And I certainly would not consider myself an expert on that question, but I imagine that storytelling goes back to the beginning of humankind, and for a number of purposes. Probably one of the earliest was to come back and recount being chased by a saber-toothed tiger or something like that.
For me, story is part of what makes us human. Like, what makes us human is not just these bodies and our capabilities, but it's our ability to be a part of a society and a culture. And storytelling is a big part of what makes a society and culture.
It's a way of recounting experience. It's a way of archiving the experience of one generation for future generations. And it's a way of putting forth an argument and convincing people of your opinion and your point of view.
You know, it's that communication that enables us to be better than ourselves as an individual. And storytelling is a great way to communicate. But when we tell a story, it's a higher bandwidth way to share knowledge and feelings and experiences. We can learn from experiences that aren't even our own experiences. They're other people's experiences.
Anyone today sitting around a campfire and telling stories, you can imagine that same thing happening centuries ago.
You know, when you ask me questions about story, I also think of music and painting and dance and movies and books and all these kind of creative, artistic endeavors. For me, it's really about that communication through creating. Like, I'm going to give you part of my point of view, I'm going to transfer it to you, and I'm going to do it through telling a story. So when Matt and I were thinking about what kind of business do we want to do, the tipping point for me was just the kind of onslaught of wearable technologies over the last couple of years. And when we were thinking about these and reading news articles about them, we thought, well, how could people use those to tell stories?
We saw this interesting time where the technology has changed so dramatically and gotten to a point where cameras are smaller, lighter, less expensive, and the tools to help tell your story and to get it out to a larger audience have never been easier, better, more available. And we wanted to develop products that take advantage of that new technology and that new paradigm of both being able to capture video and disseminate video.
So we started brainstorming ideas and we came up with a lot of them, and we thought we'd found a company that uses kind of the latest technologies and the latest trends in technology to make tools such that artists can tell stories with them. I love film, I love movies, I love watching them, I love reading about them. I love reading about how they're made and kind of the intersection of all these different personality types. And there's all these just wildly different people that work together to create this end product, and it's awesome.
We feel like we can develop tools that do help people tell the story the way they want to tell it.
A lot of people that make camera equipment are filmmakers first and product designers second, and that's great. That's one point of view. We love film, but we're product designers first. So in order for us to design the right products and make the right decisions, we have to talk to our customers. We have to talk to the audience. We have to understand them. And most of them are natural storytellers, so they end up telling us their stories, and it really does drive our decisions.
I like the process of product development, of designing something and solving a problem. Storytelling is very much that way also, right? You're trying to figure out how to convey a message to your audience in a compelling way, and it's a problem. You're solving a problem, and everybody has a different take on it. Design is similar. Product development is similar. We try to think of how the storyteller, the filmmaker, is trying to tell the story, and how can we make a tool that enables that?
Both Matt and I have tons of product ideas, way more than we could ever do, and we filled notebooks up with these ideas. And once we had a bunch, we started meeting filmmakers because, as I said, we want to make creative tools and we want creative people to use them. So we had a lot of lunches with different filmmakers, people that do music videos, people that do documentaries, people that shoot weddings. And they told us their stories of how they shoot, kind of some behind the scenes insights. One group of guys was saying that they film music videos in these abandoned warehouses and they have to climb over the fence with their gear, and if they see headlights coming, they have to jump back over the fence with their gear. And this is a great story, and a lot of times, kind of in the years since we've had that conversation, we bring up, is this going to pass the jump the fence test,
We have, over the last year, we've spoken with many filmmakers.
Another filmmaker told us a story where they wanted this shot of people walking next to a lake.
They've come to us and said, I've always wanted to get this shot. I've always thought it would be cool to get, the close-in shot of two people talking as they're walking along Green Lake.
And they wanted it to be a dialogue between the two people, and then they wanted to zoom up and show the lake.
And then the city behind it and place them in the world.
Which makes total sense. I can see why they'd want to do that. But all of the existing technologies don't work very well. A drone, you'd have to get a license and it would be too noisy to record the dialogue. You could shut down the whole park and use a big motorized crane, which is what a Hollywood production might do. But this is just a low budget documentary and they can't do that.
Our opinion is, how can we best help the storyteller tell the story? We develop tools that get out of the way. They're not thinking about using the tool, they're thinking about telling the story.
So when people tell us these stories of a challenge they had, or just a fun story about jumping over a fence, it really does drive our product design. We remember those things, and when we're making all of the million little decisions that we have to make to design a product, we often come back to our customer stories to be able to put ourselves in their shoes and design, make the right decisions for those people. When you say today's world, kind of what today's world is, like what's unique about today's world?
Anybody can be a storyteller through video now with the quality. Gosh, your phone. Almost everybody has a high quality video camera now.
Everything's getting smaller. It's easy to see your camera getting smaller and your phone getting smaller and more energy efficient at the same time. So everything's more portable too, and everything's more connected all the time.
I remember swimming as a kid, and one parent had one of those big camcorders on his shoulder, and he'd film our swim meets, and it was really neat to see ourselves. Obviously, that's not the case now. Everybody has the ability to create video and to then send it immediately out to a larger audience.
Like now, if you take a picture with your phone, you can share it with your friends on Instagram in a few seconds. And I think everything is just going to keep getting more connected. And then kind of the way we share stories, YouTube, and it's just expected that one person, if they have something to share, can share it with 1 million people.
If the storytelling itself has become easy to do, it becomes a question of how do you tell it better. And that's what we're trying to do with our products, is give storytellers the ability to capture that cinematic footage.
Everybody can share to lots of people, so there's a competition for attention, and I think quality is a part of that. Like, how can I make something good that people will actually want to watch? Like, you could go to a wedding and every single person at the wedding could film it with their phone, but you don't want to watch all of that. So, if it's your career to film weddings, how do you stand above that? It's an interesting question. I think everybody working in a creative space in today's world has to think about, how am I different than everybody else that also has pretty good tools?
And that's what we're trying to do, is develop tools that enable the storyteller to bring the audience closer to the story and become more immersive and to get perspectives that weren't possible before, at least not without huge investment or to being on a movie set. That's where technology has really changed things, I think.
So when we think about how do we arm creative people with tools they can use to tell stories, we look at all this and I see BeeWorks, our company, as being kind of an intermediary.
We developed a very sleek and clean design that we feel people will be comfortable taking into a setting like a wedding. Have it be small form factor and less obtrusive than other systems out there. And that's an important part, I think, from the storyteller's perspective as well. How do they fit into the narrative itself? There are lots of similar products with different elements that are emphasized in the design. BeeWorks, we've emphasized portability, we've emphasized a clean aesthetic, usability. We want the tool to sort of disappear. We want the storyteller to forget that they have the tool in their hand. That was an important element.
So with a product like that, we're taking the technologies of the sensors and accelerometers and gyroscopes and miniaturization, and we're making it into a tool where you don't have to understand all those technologies to use the technologies. So that's really where I see ourselves in this world. How can we keep abreast of what's new and exciting and turn it into a product that is usable and intuitive so that artists and storytellers have access to that technology?